This is 514B. Mary Givens and Peggy Moser are partners engaged in operating the G&M Doll Shop, which has employed the following persons since the beginning of the year. So we've got these employees, and their salaries are stated in different terms. Givens and Moser are paid a weekly salary allowance of $1,000. The doll shop is located in a state that requires unemployment compensation contributions of employers of one or more individuals, which they qualify because they've got 5. The company is subject to state contributions at a rate of 3.25% for wages not in excess of $10,000. So we are figuring based on the 41st weekly payroll period ending October 11th, what amount of taxes will be withheld. So what we first have to do is see if anybody's reached the limit or not. And for me, the easiest way to do this is to first calculate the FUTA limit, which if they're in the 41st, it means that they've had 40 pay periods. So I took the $7,000 limit, divided it by 40 for the 40 pay periods, and came up with $175 a week. And my thought process was, if somebody's making $175 or more a week, after 40, they would have reached the limit the 40th week or earlier. So we're now in the 41st week, and I'm going to look at the weekly earnings. And if somebody's higher than 175, then I know they've already reached the limit. Well, T-Bin's earnings aren't stated in a weekly format, so I have to convert them. They're stated monthly. So you take the 3,100, times it by 12 months, and then divide it by 52 to get the weekly earnings. Ashworth, you've got it annually, so just divide the 30 divided by the 52, and now you have the weekly earnings. Every one of these is greater than $175, so that means they've already met the limit in some previous pay period. So we're not going to be paying any FUTA on them. And so to calculate the OASDI and the HI, we're just taking these earnings and multiplying them by the rates. This is what's withheld. So it's the 4.2% and the 1.45. Now just a note here, because Givens and Moser are partners, they are not taxed under FICA. Even though they're given a salary allowance, that's not the same as a salary. So they're not having anything withheld from that salary allowance. Let's look at the next one, which is, what is the amount of the employer's FICA taxes for the weekly payroll? So this is what the employer is going to pay. So all of these wages are subject to FICA. They're taxable. So the OASDI rate is 0.062 times the 2162 gives you 134.06, and the HI rate is 0.0145. That gives you 31.35. Add the two together, and the total FICA for the employer is 165.41. Because none of these people will have hit the limit for FICA. And one way to say I know that is because the total salary is $110,100. If you divide that by 52, employees have to be making $2,117.30 a week in order to hit that limit. So I could tell from looking at the data that nobody had hit the limit, but I just wanted to show you that that's a way to determine, because you do have to pay attention. Even though the FICA limits were covered in a previous chapter, you always have to be aware of when you're asked to calculate FICA, have employees hit the limit or not. Okay, so the next one is the state unemployment contributions. So the state limit is 10,000. If you divide that by the 40 pay periods that we've already had, again using the same logic that we use for the FUTA limit, if somebody's making 250 or more a week, they would have already hit that SUTA limit in an earlier pay period. Well, if you look at who's making what, you can see that we only have one employee that's making less than 250 a week, and that's Axel. He's making 240. So Axel is the only one that is subject to the state unemployment. So the 240 times the rate of 0.0325 means our total state unemployment is going to be $7.80. So D is the amount of the net FUTA on the payroll, which is 0. We've already discussed. They've all reached that limit because they all make more than 175 a week. Lastly, what is the total amount of the employer's payroll taxes? So this isn't the employee, this is the employer. And we got 165.41, and that was from Part B. Oops, Part B. And then the SUTA of 780 from Part C. So our total is 173.21.